Good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome, welcome. Little known fact, but every time Johnny plays beautiful jazz music in this place, Jen Leiden is a little bit out of her comfort zone, trying to get easy with jazz. It's like I continually pair the two of them in jazzy experiences that we share. And that piano and your music. Thank you, Johnny. Good morning. My name is Kirsten Hunter. I am the Director of Lifespan Ministry here at South Church. I serve here in co-leadership with Reverend Ellen Quadgrass and in co-shared ministry with all of you. To those of you who are joining us online and everyone here in the sanctuary this morning on this beautiful August day, we are so glad you are here. Leading worship with me today is Worship Associate Chris Kuiper, and our Director of Children and Family Ministries, Jen Del Deo Berry, will be offering our Time for All Ages. Music this morning is offered by our Director of Music Ministry, Johnny Pfeiffer, who's fresh back from the AUUMN conference, which is the music ministry, UU Music Ministry Conference, and he's got all kinds of juice. So we're going to enjoy some of that today. And he will be joined with the vocal stylings of both Kathy Okeisen and Jen Leiden. Ben Abbott is back in the back of the church along with Sasha, his trusty assistant. They're handling the sound and video, and they are also we'll keep an eye on the live chat on our live stream. So those of you who are here online are welcome to check in with them, share greetings, and let us know how you are. Each week, when we come together in worship here at South Church, we recite a mission statement that includes naming a commitment to nurturing spiritual growth. I wonder sometimes if we all know what that means. We nurture spiritual growth here in this sanctuary, in this community, in all kinds of ways. And today during worship, we're going to explore some of the ways that playing with our own comfort can help us to fulfill that commitment. Comfort is a funny thing. It serves an important purpose in our lives, but it can also become a place where we hide from our responsibilities to ourselves and to one another. The land acknowledgement that we offer as part of our welcome every week is a little bit of an attempt to shed light on an example of how you can hide behind comfort. It is a story that has long been hidden by folks to serve their comfort at the great cost of other people. So this land, upon which our sanctuary sits, was built on stolen land, stolen centuries ago from indigenous people, including the Abenaki and the Pennacook people. May, as we lift up this recognition, may we continue to deepen our commitment to repairing the harm and damaged relationships with indigenous people here in New England and across the globe, as well as with the land herself. May we continue to recognize that our commitments will require us to listen deeply and be willing to change and act in response to what we hear. I encourage you to take a look at your orders of service. There are lots of details in there that are helpful for finding out what's happening in our community, as well as the specifics of today's service. And I think there's even some music in there for you to follow along with in our moments of song. There's also coloring supplies and activity packs at the back of the church for anyone who would like something to keep your hands occupied during today's service. The children that are with us are welcome to join Jen Del Deo Berry on the front lawn after the Time for All Ages for some wiggly, giggly fun. But you're also welcome to stay here in the sanctuary anytime. We always celebrate the multi-generational sounds of this community when we are here together on Sunday mornings. There's a nursery downstairs, open throughout the service for children 3 and under, should they like to be there. And we also welcome them here, just like everyone else. After service, all of us are invited to head out onto the portico. There is coffee and treats and an opportunity for some great conversation. And while you're out there, here's a challenge. I learned something this week that has kind of blown my mind. I actually tried to figure out how to fit it into this service about comfort because it's made me a little uncomfortable. I couldn't really figure out how to fit it in, but I found out on Thursday that I have something called aphantasia. So here's the deal. When you picture things in your mind, do you actually see a picture of the thing? If I tell you, picture an apple, do you see an apple? Does anyone not see an apple? So it turns out, some of us don't. And I had no idea that you all have been seeing pictures all this time. So at social hour, I invite you to discuss, what does it mean that some of us actually don't have a picture? We don't actually picture it, and some of us do. And maybe you can find a few of those folks who raised their hands who, like me, are really not getting it. And it's a spectrum, like everything, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, fascinating, super fascinating. It has kind of jostled my whole world, and I keep saying to my partner, oh, and you know what else? I bet this is why this is different, and you know what else? And 50 years that I had no idea. Okay, if you haven't already, please silence your cell phones. If you happen to need them, there are assisted listening devices and large print hymnals in the back of the church. I don't think we'll need hymnals today, but listening devices are there. You can raise your hand if you'd like help from an usher. And I have a few announcements. One is there's a new yoga class. You probably know we have yoga classes on Monday, Wednesday, Friday mornings at 6:30 a.m. for the robust morning risers amongst us. But now, for those of us who think 6:30 is an appalling idea, you can also come at 5:30 at night on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Sheila Shea will be leading yoga at Court Street, down the road, 73 Court, on Tuesday nights. It's by donation, $10, but also it's open to anyone. If you do not have the budget to be able to afford $10, we still want you there. Please come. There's a social hour next week that's going to be kind of special because one of our staff members, Jen Leiden, is going to be celebrating 10 years working for the congregation, or we are going to be celebrating her for 10 years of her working here with us. So please come next week. And maybe write a card or think of something to do to let Jen know how much she is appreciated. Also, right now is the time to talk to Jen Deldeo Berry and get involved in an RE team. It is such a rewarding way to be in intergenerational relationship in this congregation. I can't say enough about how it will impact your life. And now is the time to chat with Jen. She can help find a match that's perfect for you. Small and large roles available, more information in your order of service. And finally, two little things. One, I am still inviting anyone who would like to help me think about how to put together a Friendsgiving sometime around Thanksgiving this fall. If you are someone who would like to help create a Friendsgiving gathering in November, please contact me. And if you happen to be interested in loaning a bedding packet, we're going to have some young adults sleeping over at the church on the night of August 16th. So we're looking for sets of sleeping bag, air mattress, pillow in a duffel that you can drop off and then pick up on Sunday or any time after. If either of those things are appealing, let me know, or talk to Jen Leiden. Either of us can help you with that. And the last thing, on Monday night, I will be at the City Council here in Portsmouth. They are putting forward, our councilors Kate Cook and Andrew Bagley are putting forward a resolution to make it clear that Portsmouth stands for transparency, accountability, and constitutional rights in regard to the way that ICE approaches immigrants in our community. They are trying to intervene on the terrifying ways in which masked and unmarked and unidentified folks are grabbing and abducting people within our community. And I know I feel really passionately about it. I will be there on Monday night to speak about it, but I invite as many of you as want to come and show your own commitment to our neighbors and their rights. If you want more information about that, you can reach out to me about that too. Let's begin.
Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Aye, 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 aye. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Aye, 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 aye. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility.
Good morning. As we light our chalice here to bring us into a space of togetherness, we invite people watching at home to light a candle or chalice of their own. These words are from Fred Rogers. It's the things we play with and the people who help us play that make a great difference in our lives. Please rise in body or in spirit and join me in reciting the mission statement printed in your order of service. At South Church, we nurture spiritual growth through worship, learning, and community. We celebrate the worth and dignity of all people and inspire one another to act on our faith in the larger community.
Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Aye, 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 aye. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility.
I have to admit, I'm not a huge fan of jumping off of things. Launching my body from a higher elevation to a lower elevation is not something I have historically looked forward to. So a couple days ago, I was spending some time in Bethel, Maine with some family, and someone suggested that we go cliff jumping at a local swimming hole. I didn't quite share the group's enthusiasm. But I played it cool, pretended to be on board. I didn't want to dampen the energy by mentioning a long list of potential safety considerations, up to and including my own fear of the situation. We arrived at the swimming hole at the base of Sunday River and walked down the trail to the water. I actually kind of hung back the car and fumbled some towels and snacks in like a last-ditch effort to slow down the inevitable. When I made it to the jumping rock, my brother-in-law had already made the plunge, and my son Wilder was on deck to take the leap. one after another, a nephew, then my brother, then a niece, then another brother-in-law, then my sister, then another nephew. Almost everyone had jumped off the 14-foot cliff into the icy, swirling mountain water below. As you may know, 14 feet looks much higher when you're looking down into the water. It doesn't sound like that high. So during all of this, I had slowly backpedaled my way over to the flatter, safer part of the river where my sister Steph was playing with her little one. Perhaps I could hide out here. No one would notice. I could get through this day with my dignity intact. She hadn't jumped either, so to make us both feel a little better about not jumping and to provide a little comfort, I said to her, I don't think we're afraid of heights. I think we're just more conservative around water safety. And she replied to me, this happened, it's probably not that much different than when I went skydiving. But then I remembered my daughter Elowen, she hadn't jumped either. I could find some solace and some solidarity with her. So I turned to find her, and there she was in front of me, looking up with the ultimatum of a 10-year-old. Dad, I want to jump, but I need you to jump first. Here's the problematic thing about cliff jumping. You walk up to the edge of the rocks, you look down, and then your brain and your body have this little conversation where they decide that this is a terrible idea for the three of you to do. And they deliver this information in the form of a full-body red alert, the evolutionary physiological safety warning system that you must bypass in order to voluntarily make the leap. Surprisingly, I was able to bypass the warning system, and clinging to a rock in the cold water below, watching Elowen jump in after me brought many emotions: pride, humility, awe, excitement, joy, and relief. While comfort and growth may not be exact opposites, they don't seem to spend much time together in the same sentence.
May it be simple, may it be kind, may it be easy most of the time, may it be open, may it be free. May it be you, and may it be me. So please rise if you're willing and able. We'll do verse 1 again. May it be simple, may it be kind, may it be easy most of the time, may it be open, may
Okay, I would really love some company up here. Any kids, teens, grown-ups, anybody who wants to come hang out up here, come on up. I have a secret list from my friend Max here. We're planning something incredible for September 7th, so stay tuned, but we're going to keep it secret for now. So, once upon a time, a 17-year-old girl was driving her car down Main Street, and she needed to stop for a pedestrian in the crosswalk. This person was a small, much older woman with white hair and a shirt covered in big, colorful flowers and bold plaid pants that didn't match at all. And as she started to shuffle into the crosswalk, she looked right at the girl in her car, and she blew her a big kiss and waved with a huge smile and continued across the street. And that 17-year-old girl immediately thought, that is what I want to be when I grow up. That. Confident, authentic, emanating love out into the world, radiant and free. This girl had so much love and kindness and good things in her heart and creativity, but already at the age of 17, the world had told her many messages from all kinds of places that she needed to be small, that she needed to fit in, not stand out, and that it was dangerous to put too much of her love into the world. But seeing that woman, she knew that she needed to figure out how to peel away those layers the world had put around her heart. And so she got to work. And it turned out it wasn't that easy. She had to peel these layers. She was so nervous about doing things, but she would challenge herself to talk to someone or to wear something that she knew wasn't super popular. And some layers would fall away, but then other layers would come back. But she kept at it. And about 15 years later, she walked into a church, this church actually, and she found a place in the back. It was layers being removed to even get her in this door, but she made it in. She sat in the back, and just a short time into worship, everybody was invited to greet the people around you. And so people turned and gave handshakes and good mornings to each other, but the girl noticed one woman who had been sitting in the very front pew. That woman got up. She had a shirt with big, bright flowers and bold plaid pants and grayish-whitish hair. It was not the same woman from 15 years ago, but she instantly thought of that same woman. And this woman in the church, instead of just greeting the people around her, she started waltzing down the aisle singing, "Good morning to you, good morning to you," and kissing people on the cheek as she did this. And on her name tag, it said Edith. And the girl knew, this is a place for me. Not because everybody is just like me, but because everybody is just like their own self. And if this woman belongs here, then she belongs here too. And so this girl, who is actually now a woman, leaned into the church. She started doing all kinds of things that made her uncomfortable. She started sharing her heart. She felt those layers around the heart peeling away more and more. It still wasn't easy, but it was speeding up faster and faster. Those layers were coming off. Heart was starting to shine more and more. It was easier to let the love flow out as well as letting the love flow in. And she realized a really awesome tool for getting rid of those layers around a heart. Anybody want to guess that tool that is a little unexpected? It's happening around me right now. Anyone? Play. Play, because play could help this girl, now woman, to get over herself. Could help her to not worry what it looked like when she was being ridiculous. And she could push her comfort zone without a lot of risk. And so she blew bubbles in church. And she colored with all the kids. And she even got up once in a while to tell a story in front of a crowd, which was terrifying. But she kept at it. It got a little easier, and she continued to release her heart. And these days, she's not quite that old, radiant, free old woman yet, but she is well on her way. And so the invitation for all of us is to play. Do those things that you think might make you look silly. Do them anyway, and let your love shine out into the world like is happening right here on this floor. So now, all of you who are blowing bubbles right here, if anybody would like to go outside and do some really fun paint play, we can head out now.
The offering is a time to reflect on the abundance of support and love that this church offers, recognizing the financial responsibility of operating this historic building and providing so many impactful programs and services. During the month of August, our collection will be shared with the Dover Children's Home, as chosen by the youth of South Church. DCH is a nonprofit residential treatment program committed to providing high-quality support and services to some of New Hampshire's most vulnerable and valuable youth and their families. Please give as you are able. The offering will now be gratefully received.
we give thanks for this precious day, for all gathered here and those far away, for this time we share with love and care. Oh, we give thanks for this precious day.
As we transition now into a time of meditation or prayer, this morning I invite you to sit with the grief, the sorrow, the struggle, the hard things that you're holding in your body. It's okay to take time, to spend time in these darker places. It's important. It's important that we hold the people of Gaza in our hearts. It's important that we name the grief and the hopeless moral injury of witnessing what is happening to them. It's important that we hold our neighbors in our hearts, that we wring our hands and even cry as we think about the fear they are navigating, as we think about the ways that our own country is betraying the values we hold so dear. It's important because it is a part of what helps us to then take that grief and turn it into action. It's important because it's what helps us to then take that grief and turn it toward the ways that we reach out to one another. So also, as we pray, as we hold these things in our heart, I invite us to give thanks for every living being in this world who are choosing to open their eyes each day, to sit with the sadness, and to reach toward one another. Let us give thanks for every person doing what they can to offer care, to try in whatever way they know how to be healers in the world where so much is breaking. In her book, What It Takes to Heal, Prentice Hemphill says, "There is almost nothing more profound or more terrifying than the simple act of reaching for each other. There is no real intimacy that does not begin with listening. And there is no chance that we can show up for one another if one or both of us is still somehow an object. The task ahead of us is hard, to weave a belonging between people who have never belonged to one another or who have forgotten what it is to accept and invite. To fold ourselves back into the earth as creatures of it and not above it. It's hard because of how many barriers we've built between us. But like so many things that seem difficult at first, to start the work of belonging is deceivingly uncomplicated. It is putting aside, in this moment, the stories we tell, not of difference, but of inherent and complete separation. We are already kin, whether we like it or not. So how can we live as though our living depends on one another? As we sit together in this sacred space and feel our breath become a collective prayer, may we each find resolve in the reminder of our interconnection. May we continue to reach for one another again and again. You are welcome to remain seated in your pew and use this time for personal reflection or anyone who would like is welcome to come forward down the side aisles to light a candle for prayer. So in worship last Sunday, I shared a memory about Tim DeLay in the early days of the COVID pandemic, and it got me thinking. There's so much to explore in the story of COVID over the past 5 years. So much for us to consider as individuals and collectively about what this shared experience has meant. Our stories aren't all the same, but it strikes me that what we navigated together was a time of great change, and I think for many of us a time of really profound growth. And that isn't to say that it wasn't also horribly tragic and difficult. Many things can be true. One of the things that I discovered very early on in the pandemic was how, in a very short period of time, COVID wrenched me away from my comfort zones, from the comfort of my routines, from the comfortable spaces in my own home, from the comfort of knowing where different parts of my life took place. It threw me into the deep end of a new pool, and it told me, learn how to swim. The first few months were, for many of us, complying with mandates to stay home, and I found myself suddenly juggling the needs of a 19-year-old whose college classes had transitioned to my living room, and a 13-year-old whose 8th grade classroom had moved into my kitchen, and upstairs in my office, a church had begun to unpack their things. It was not an easy time for any of us, but especially in those first few months, as I think about it now, there were some things that were also quite exhilarating. Being thrown into unknown water is scary, but it can lead to profound new understandings and so much growth. And that was definitely a part of my experience. As I said last week, very quickly as lockdown began, I realized how incredibly important other people were to my own well-being, even if we couldn't be in the same space. Maybe you discovered that too. As a team of staff and lay folks here at church, it felt like a whole lot of us pushed up our sleeves and started getting creative in how we could find ways to connect with one another. Jen, DB, and I experimented with how to stay in relationship with children who were pretty fried about being online. We both happened to be pretty shy about dancing, but that actually didn't seem to matter at the time as we threw shyness to the side and started hosting dancing Zoom calls with the children where we flailed our bodies relentlessly, trying to evoke giggles and laughter and joy. We told insanely bizarre stories that involved all kinds of theatrics recorded on Zoom. We learned how to edit videos. We laughed a lot. We acted brave. We kind of realized we could do whatever we wanted. What was anybody going to say? And it opened us up to a really bountiful time of creativity alongside the sadness and the overwhelm and the hardship of it all. I spent lots of hours with a whole lot of people in this community who agreed to learn how to host Zoom meetings and how to record themselves sharing reflections for worships that we began editing and splicing together. We learned how to upload video files to Google Drives. We learned how to unmute ourselves again and again and again. Our musicians taught themselves how to use apps that could record different tracks from their homes and then blend those tracks together to make a virtual folk group or a virtual choir. It was remarkable. It was creative and generative and energizing in a very strange, surreal, dystopian way. I don't want to wash over the acknowledgement of that, but we grew a lot as a community, thrust out of our comfort zones. I look back and I remember so many people embracing challenges that they would not have been willing to embrace a year before. And I think we are stronger now because of it. In the 1930s, Soviet psychologist Lev Vygotsky created a model to describe how human beings move back and forth between comfort and growth. It's not a perfect model, because no model is, but it is a tremendously useful one, which probably many of you have seen or heard referenced or seen some variant of at some point in your lives. I will describe it for you, and from what I understand, a lot of you are going to picture it in your minds, which is insane. It's a circle, actually 3 circles, concentric. In the center is the comfort zone. Can you picture it? Then the learning or challenge zone is the next ring. And on the outside, the third ring is the excessive risk zone. The basic idea of the model is very simple, that at any given time, people are occupying one of these three spaces. When we're in our comfort zones, we are not particularly learning or growing or being challenged. And when we step out of our comfort zone, in that beneficial range, most of our growth and learning happens there. And it's possible to find ourselves overstretched into that excessive risk zone, and it's really not a great place to be. In fact, sometimes experiences in that excessive risk zone can draw us back to our comfort zone and keep us from stepping into the learning zone for extended periods of time. There is nothing wrong with the comfort zone. We all need comfort, a place to rest, to restore, to relax. During COVID, I taught myself how to take naps because all of a sudden I realized work and life were here all the time, and it was too much. But 20 minutes, if you can train yourself, can be a remarkable reset. I found some comfort zone even in the midst of that bedlam, and it was important. And staying in your comfort zone, not regularly getting out of your comfort zone, is a problem. It's necessary to step out of that comfort zone to nurture our spiritual growth and any kind of growth in our life. Buddhist elder Pema Chodron explains it like this: the more willing you are to step out of your comfort zone, the more comfortable you feel in your life. Situations that maybe used to arouse fear and nausea for you can become easier to relax in. She goes on to point out that expanding our ability to feel comfortable in our own skin, in our world, is important also so that we can be there as much as possible for other people. And I really want us to remember that. It's not just about our own benefit. It is how we become people who benefit others. It is how we live our faith in the world. When we are more comfortable, we are more adept at nurturing others and nurturing the earth to which we belong. And to be more comfortable, you have to get out of your comfort zone. It's a little counterintuitive, but if you've ever tried it, I promise you, it's true. Now, on the other side, Pema Chodron warns us against the choice of staying in our comfort zone. If you do so all the time, she explains, your comfort zone will actually shrink. Greed and excessive comfort, which seem to be glorified and admired in our country in a lot of different spaces, is causing great harm, in part to the people who are experiencing it. Every choice you make to stay there, to hang there, we used an image in a meeting this week of a mollusk on a rock. It's good to climb up on a rock, but you don't want to fix yourself there and stay there while the river's flowing by. You got to jump back in the water. And when you don't, your world shrinks. You get more paranoid. You get more afraid. Fear can take over. You hoard more. And we can see it. It's easy to sort of judge and feel venomous towards people who are enacting that kind of behavior, but it's actually super sad. There's a loneliness and a barrenness when we choose to be too comfortable. It's not how we're meant to be. We may not be able to compel the billionaires to embrace their relationship with the world and let go of their 400-foot yachts. But for ourselves, in our own world, our days too are filled with comfort traps that are really easy to become habitual in our lives. I promise I struggle with this too. I don't share this out of judgment, binge watching Netflix or scrolling on our phone for hours and snack food whenever we want it, takeout delivered to our doors. We can go on vacations where the comforts of our home follow us wherever we want to be in the world, where we can be in a place miles from where we live and never interact or understand the stories of the local people who are just around the corner from us. Comfort can follow us to whatever degree we let it. So how do we play with comfort? How do we find and maintain a healthy balance with the time in our comfort zones and the times we push ourselves out into that space of growth and learning? Sometimes we get thrown there. We got thrown there during COVID. But really, on a daily basis, on a life basis, it's our job to put ourselves there, to choose to be there. And discernment is important. Discernment is critical because my comfort zone is probably not the same as your comfort zone. Our community's comfort zone is probably not the same as a community down the road. Discernment is what we get to own about the choices we make. If you don't want to jump off a 14-foot cliff, you don't have to. That might be beyond your comfort zone, and that is okay. P.S. I will be down on that shore with you saying, we have a more concerted understanding of water safety. The goal with discernment is to choose to do things that challenge us. The goal is to notice, how does it make me feel when this opportunity gets named? If it gives you the squirrels, if it gives you a feeling of, that makes me nervous, that's a sign to do it. If it makes you panicked, that might be a sign that it's too much. And the more you practice, the better you get at discernment. The more we practice together, the better we get at discernment. Last week, with the service all about play, I was doing a little discernment about people's comfort levels with what we were doing. I knew I was pushing folks in the room, and we'll come back to that later today. When Chris was describing his very reasonable fear of jumping off a 14-foot cliff from the air, his daughter was the magic ingredient that allowed him to take the leap. I don't know if it felt playful for you, Chris, but that relationship he has with Elowen drew his focus away from his fear and towards his role as her dad. The bravery of a parent's love is a remarkable superpower, and in this case, it compelled him to jump off a 14-foot cliff right into the challenge zone. Well done, Chris. Jen's story about the fashion queen who crossed the street in front of her when she was just a teenager literally helped her to play for the rest of her life. It's been years that that total stranger has had an impact on her. In a flash, that person became an inspiring role model, someone she could attach herself to when she felt nervous about taking a risk. And what's happened, though she says she's not there yet, is that she has herself grown into someone who inspires that kind of brave confidence, who dresses wild and free and exudes love around the room. And I promise you, there are people already who will have an image of Jen Del Deo Berry in their mind for the rest of their life as someone to aspire toward, someone who takes risks, someone who steps into that challenge zone with gusto. This is a community where we play with our stories, where we pass ideas to each other about who we are and who we hope to be. We invite each other to learn together and to seek challenges together in the justice work that we do, in the covenant groups that we are a part of, during book discussions, and on learning journeys together, in committee meetings and fundraisers, and in the pastoral care that we offer to one another. We are partners. This past Tuesday, I was working on this sermon when I received an email from a congregant. They gave me permission to share some of what they wrote with all of you. The email began by them saying that they had considered leaving church last Sunday when they realized the theme was play. I think the word they wrote was ugh. And not for nothing, I appreciate their honesty. I do appreciate feedback, even hard feedback. It's a part of how we stay in right relationship with one another, is that we share the experiences we're having and we let each other know when something didn't feel right. In this case, the congregant went on to explain a bit about their own life experiences that had resurfaced for them in reaction to that word play, and how, for them, personal experiences had soured them on the subject altogether. That said, they also shared that they made a decision to stay. that they chose to sit in their discomfort and see how the service would play out. This is their words. They say, "Play, as I defined it in my head, never came easily to me. But Sunday's service ended up being structured in a way that didn't feel threatening, and I just nudged myself a little bit out of that old story. Also, the way you played with the concept of play helped me to see play a bit differently. Then at coffee hour, I got into a conversation with one of my favorite people in the congregation, of which there are many, and we got on the sermon topic, and at some point she said to me, 'How can you say you don't play? You are one of the most playful people I know.' And then she started to give me examples, all of which I wouldn't have defined as play, but they were true things about me. I couldn't take it all in at the moment, but on the walk home I thought, this is what I love about this church. The services move me out of my comfort zone, make me see things in a different light, and then there are warm and interesting people with whom to flesh things out. What a blessing." Right? Do you hear the shared ministry in that reflection? The ministry that person gave to themselves by choosing to sit in curiosity with their own discomfort? The ministry they were given by the friend on the portico? The ministry that they offered to me by writing and sharing that experience, and then to all of us by allowing me to share it with you? We are such powerful influences on one another. It often leaves me breathless. Margaret Wheatley says there is no power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about. No power for change greater than a community discovering what it cares about. I truly believe the more we realize what blooms from the ways we inspire one another and share with each other, the more seriously and playfully we approach our roles within this community of shared ministry, the more that we will in turn be fed and feed the world. The things we play with and the people who help us play make a great difference in our lives, Mr. Rogers said. And the more we're willing to step out of our comfort zones, the more comfortable we will feel in our lives, says Pema Chodron. Let us always remember these lessons, and let us be grateful that we have each other's company on this journey of life. Amen.
With this life, I am living in a world that's wild and free. And with this voice, I am speaking my truth with clarity. And with this heart, I am loving what once was and what will be. And with this life, I am living both with joy and dignity.
Please rise as you are able.
With this life I am living in a world that's wild and free. And with this voice I am speaking with my truth, with clarity. And with this heart I am loving what once was and what will be. And with this life I am living both with this life I am living in a world that's wild and free. And with this voice I am speaking my truth with clarity. And with this heart I am loving what once was and what will be. And with this life I am living both with joy and dignity. And with this life I am living both with joy and dignity. And with this life I am living both with joy and dignity.
We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again.
This is a poem called The Butterfly Effect by Julian Inan Soto. I wish the knowledge were easier to come by, that individualism is just a scam, that you are always the butterfly wings, you are always the storm. Edward Lorenz, a weather scientist from MIT, is sometimes misquoted on this as the premise that the flap of a butterfly wing can cause a hurricane in a different part of the world. Shorthand, that isn't all that close to a representation of the math-turned-weather scientist's work. He proposed that should we make even a tiny alteration to nature, we will never know what would have happened if we had not disturbed it, since subsequent changes are too complex and entangled to restore a previous state. Which is to say that you have an immeasurable effect on the system. It will change, and you will shape its DNA. You must not believe the lying lie that you do not matter, that whatever change you can organize is so insufficient as to not be worth your time, your energy, your life force. You must be willing to dream a dream that carries forward your community. This is how we rise. This day is polluted with a mistrust of truth, fertile and warm medium for unchecked cruelty and power. You must choose to scream the truth until every leaf and stone bears unrepentant witness to what happens when you try to cage and smash, to pin and frame a butterfly and their thousands and thousands of fabulous, flamboyant friends.
Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Aye, 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 Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility. Aye, 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 open for something wonderful to happen. Be open for the possibility. Be open for something wonderful to happen. Be open to the possibility.